Our first commentary game of the evening, BBC Sport website and app, and here on DAB Digital Radio. Just to remind you, upload right now with Alice Dale. It's BBC Introducing at 8 o'clock with Jess is out, but we're focusing on football on DAB Digital Radio. Spurs against Bournemouth is an 8:15 kick-off. The teams are about to come out, I think, at Craven Cottage. It's Fulham against Brighton and Hove Albion. Our commentary team, Paul Parker, is alongside Emma Jones.
Thank you very much, Phil. A second night of double Premier League football for you here on the home of London football, and the rain is falling down here at Craven Cottage, but as Phil was saying, we've had a bit of a light show. We've had the flamethrowers going up as well, and I've been hit on the head a couple of times by a rather enthusiastic child behind us who's got one of those what do they call, Paul? You know, the sort of clappers. It's a clapper, isn't it, that they've got? Yeah.
Pain in the neck.
I'm happy for him to be excited. First time he hit me on the head, I smiled. Second time he got a look. Third time, he might not be going home. Some more flames get thrown up, and we're just waiting for the two sets of players to emerge from our left-hand side. So we're sat here in the Johnny Haynes stand. A few fireworks as well emerge just in front of the Riverside stand, and the two sets of players come out to our left-hand side, and well, it looks like it's Anthony Robinson actually who's walking out right at the front of the Fulham team. So he's wearing the captain's armband for the home side this evening, and it's Lewis Dunk who's back in the side for Brighton, who leads his team out. Both of these sides getting 1-1 draws at the weekend in their last Premier League fixtures. We brought you commentary of Tottenham versus Fulham. Tom Cairney coming off the bench to get the equaliser at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but then getting sent off. So he is not available for Marco Silva this evening. Sasha Lukic also shown his 5th yellow card of the season in that fixture in North London, so he is also not available for Fulham this evening. And another sort of interesting story that's sort of bubbling away is Andreas Pereira, who didn't start at Tottenham and is also only on the bench this evening. And this sort of seems to have come at the same time as he apparently was speaking to some Brazilian press about the fact that it was unfortunate that he hadn't got a move away from Fulham in the summer and that it might be reignited in January. He said that it was poorly translated, and that's not entirely what he said. Marco Silva has said subsequently that he just made the decision that he wasn't ready to start against Tottenham, and he also isn't starting here this evening against Brighton. I think personally Andreas Pereira is a very big player for Fulham, and so I believe Marco Silva, because I think even if Andreas Pereira wanted to leave Fulham, you'd play him because he's an important player for the side at the moment, Paul.
I think you have to look at him maybe more, in my opinion, an important player for the squad. So I look at the signing of Smith Rowe. I look at is it Reece Nelson?
Well, Nelson,
coming in as well.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the way he's affected in there. I think Berger coming in as well, in that midfield as well. I just think it's become difficult for him, and they're more energetic in that midfield now. Since Paulinho's gone, there's a different style of that midfield. Smith Rowe is leading the way. Smith Rowe has grabbed Iwobi now. Iwobi's become a very good player. Those two link up really well, and there must be still that relationship of knowing each other from the Arsenal. Must be something there. I don't know if it just seemed to click straight away. So they've moved on a level in that midfield. The style of play with Pereira is that little bit different now to what Fulham actually are producing now.
Well, what's interesting tonight is Harry Wilson starts for the first time in the Premier League, and I think again Marco Silva has sort of suggested, look, I've got so many players who can play in that position that I've been using him as a substitute rather than starting him, but he starts this evening in a team that has quite a lot of those creative attacking players in, so I think it'll be interesting to see. But obviously Harry Wilson has scored some important goals recently, including those two late ones to get the win here against Brentford not that long ago, but he makes a start this evening, the Welsh international. It is Brighton who will get us underway. They're wearing their yellow kits, so a changed kit for a Brighton side who usually wear blue and white, of course. Fulham in their white and black kits, and it is the home side who are kicking from right to left in this first half here at a rather wet Craven Cottage. Birdletto in goal for the home side. Thomas Castagna, who started rather than Kenny Tete at right back. Happy birthday to him. 29 today. I can't even remember 29. Issa Diop, Calvin Bassey, Anthony Robinson, Sander Berger, Harry Wilson, Alex Iwobi, Emile Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson and Rodrigo Muniz rather than Raul Jimenez are your Fulham team who've started the game this evening. The ball is with Matt O'Reilly for Brighton, former youth youngster. He runs into the box and Dinga tries to give the ball back to him, and now Fulham are trying to defend right on the edge of their penalty area. Comes back to Bayiba, who is back from a ban, missed the 1-1 draw for Brighton against Southampton last time out. And this will give you some idea as to how good Brighton have been this season. Only got a point, admittedly, from a draw against the team bottom of the table, but that point was enough to move them up to second in the table at that stage. No manager for them in the dugout, no Fabian Hertzler. He got booked. That was his third yellow card of the season, so he is not in the dugout this evening. Brighton keen to break forward quickly. Ball gets past the defence. It's with João Pedro, and it's gone out for the first corner of the evening here, Paul Parker. We've played, 2 minutes?
Played 2 minutes. Fulham haven't really touched the ball. It's been Brighton going forward, getting the edge of the box, coming back, going back into their own box, starting to build play, and they've gone and earned the corner of João Pedro, got him behind, and I think it was, I don't know who it was who actually got back and put it out for the corner. Couldn't see.
It does lead to a corner. It's an out swinger. It's cleared by the head of Castagna, who I might have christened Thomas, even though his name is Timothy. He's not been in the side because Kenny Tete's been playing so well, really, Paul. And I suppose that's the challenge that managers have. They want to have two good players in every position. If one of them's playing well, it means the other one misses out. Yeah,
but I just like Tete, and Tete's a big favourite with the fans here, isn't he? So energetic and enthusiastic when he plays.
I think with this busy series of fixtures, it does allow managers to look at other options, as it's turned back to Verbruggen. And now this is a chance! Oh, Fulham take the lead! And that was Brighton causing its own problems. And it goes to Alex Iwobi. A mix-up at the back for the visitors. Alex Iwobi takes full advantage. And we've barely kicked off here at Craven Cottage. The home side have the lead. Fulham 1, Brighton 0.
I just think we're in just an era of football, silly football. That was needless football. It was a poor back pass to the keeper. Keeper gets at his feet. His idea should be, I'm in a bit of trouble, get it out of play and sort it out. The ball goes in straight into Iwobi. Iwobi can't help himself and put it really in theory into an empty net. It was just absolutely ridiculous football.
As you say, Verbruggen was wide. It was an open goal, wasn't it?
But he's passed the ball straight towards the middle of his goal end.
Yes.
It made no sense at all. I don't understand this football being played. I call it suicide football. In fact, there's no one's criticising, but oh great, we're used to it. No, that's rubbish. You've given away a goal where the other team hasn't touched the ball yet. Their first touch is in the back of the net.
Fourth Premier League goal for Alex Iwobi this season, and that's seen Fulham pick up a gear. Wilson with the cross from the right wing. Well, that was gifted to Fulham, and they will take that sort of offer all day long. It's close enough to Christmas for me to suggest that was wrapped up in a little prezzy.
Oh. It was gift wrapped.
It was absolutely gift wrapped.
And all of a sudden now it's encouraged Fulham to play with confidence now. This is their best passage of play so far. Hearing the fans, that's what Brighton have gone and done. Nullified the fans initially, given the fans and the players a gift wrap present of a goal, and now the game changes for them.
Fulham lost 4-1 here against Wolves in their last home fixture. They actually took the lead in that one, which I probably shouldn't mention at this stage, but that's the heaviest defeat they've suffered all season.
I think that was a lot to do, Emma, the fact going down to 10 men made a difference as well there, didn't it? Because of the injury, they used all their subs.
Yeah, they did. Ball is here with Anthony Robinson, wearing the captain's armband this evening. Few players have been given that responsibility by Marco Silva this campaign, and now it's back with Bird's Leno, who's in a sort of washed out blue kit behind the Fulham side in white and black, and now Robinson gives it to Bassey, who turns it back to his goalkeeper again. That leads to an ooh from Paul Parker, who's slightly worried that Fulham might be trying to do what Brighton did a few moments ago. Just get it as far away as possible, Leno. There we go. It comes forward. Now it's with Iwobi again. Iwobi behind the Brighton defence. Ends up coming off the boots of Van Hecker. And Brighton are in all sorts of trouble.
They are. And that was just a routine ball down the middle, flicked on. Iwobi made just an unselfish run, and he gets on the end of it. Something old is good sometimes, by the way. I'm not on about myself, by the way.
No.
I know that already.
Spring chicken.
Yeah, exactly right.
Corner for Fulham. 7 minutes played, already leading Fulham by 1-0 here. Alex Iwobi giving the home side an early lead. And they now have a corner. It's Nelson who takes it. It flicks away off the head of Van Hecker. It's the goal scorer Iwobi who keeps the ball in play for Fulham on the right-hand side. It's then pulled back to the Fulham defence. It's now with Harry Wilson, who decides to turn it all the way back to his goalkeeper. I should probably give you the Brighton team. Bart Verbruggen is their goalkeeper. Igor Julio, Lewis Dunk the captain, João Pedro, Simon Adinga, Carlos Bayiba, Caro Mitoma, Matt Viva, Jean-Paul Van Hecker, Purvis Estupinen and Matt O'Reilly make up your Brighton side. And the ball is with Igor Julio at the moment. Comes into midfield. Brighton trying to skip their way into the Fulham box, and it ends up dropping out of play. Just 2 defeats so far for Brighton this season. That's the kind of form that Fulham are up against. Both of those losses coming away from home, and in fact both of those losses coming recently, but wins against Tottenham for Brighton, against Newcastle, beat Manchester City, which might have been noteworthy at one stage but isn't so much these days. Those are the kind of teams that Brighton have been beating recently. Their last loss was against Liverpool, so again that probably is unsurprising. Brighton have it in midfield, flicked out to the left wing. Now it's launched up the pitch. Leno gets there. João Pedro was waiting for that ball, but maybe just it was high and bounced slightly awkwardly. Paul.
I mean, it got caught in the wind as well. That is a hell of a wind out there. I don't think they've had anything like that so far this season, but you can just see it by the rain. It's all like swirling around all over the place.
Brighton then collect again. Bayiba holds on to the ball in central midfield. All the outfield players inside the Fulham half at the moment. And I sometimes feel, Paul, that even at the best of times there's a sort of separate sort of weather around Craven Cottage. Kind of comes off the Thames, doesn't it? Ball is lifted to the far post. Comes back for a left-footed effort that's lifted high by Carlos Bayiba. Goes into the supporters behind the Bird Leno goal. 1-0 to Fulham. 10 minutes played here at Craven Cottage. We will be with Tottenham at Bournemouth on BBC Radio London Digital for the second half of that game, but a reminder that game will start on the BBC Sport website before we go there for commentary at the conclusion of this game. The Brighton and Hove manager is here. He's just not able to sit in the dugouts this evening. Van Hecker on the ball for the visitors. Forward to a quick touch from O'Reilly. Comes back to Van Hecker again, who launches it up the pitch. João Pedro is there, he's got behind Bassi, and Leno at his near post had to make sure that didn't get past him.
I mean, if he could have got in there, I would have put that down maybe to poor goalkeeping or a great finish at the angle was that. He could only go at that near post, try and go across the goalkeeper, and Leno was just set for it, but Calvin Bassi couldn't do anything about it. The ball was played up along each side. He had Pedro, João Pedro on the inside of him. He couldn't make any challenge to the ball because every chance he could have been a pen.
Ball here with Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe inside the centre circle. Flicks it out to Wilson. Now a little touch from Iwobi. Then it comes back into Issa Diop. Of course, still no Joachim Andersen for Fulham, out with an injury, so Issa Diop alongside Bassi. And it is with Diop at the moment. Long sleeves and gloves from him, but most of the players out there are in short sleeves. I think it is pleasantly mild for an evening in December. Hooked forward by Bassi, over the head of Muniz. Allows Dunk to turn it back into midfield, where it's collected by Iwobi. Now forward to Smith Rowe. Robinson on the overlap. The American international gets it back. The cross that comes in has to be taken wide by the Brighton captain. And it goes out for another corner for Fulham. He's always so dangerous, Robinson, isn't he, on that overlap?
He is. I mean, that's been the one thing that was always a problem with Anthony Robinson was his delivery, and he seems to be worked on it. He's much better. He does get in those positions, but sometimes he fails, or a lot of times he used to fail.
Well, Dunk had to throw his body in the way of that. Leads to a corner which Harry Wilson will take. Right arm raised by him. Marco Silva pacing on the edge of his technical area. Comes in, finds a head, goes just wide. Close from that corner, and I think it was Rodrigo Muniz, wasn't it, who leapt and got his head onto that.
It was a great leap, by the way, as well. Really good leap.
Arsenal have become experts, haven't they, at scoring from corners. I was hearing I think it was Spanish commentary, and every time Arsenal got a corner, they were doing the Jaws theme tune. Turn it, turn it. They knew what was going to happen next. The shark is coming. Van Hecker now to Dunk. Brighton have it with their defence. Viva now finds Matoma on the Brighton left wing. Comes into João Pedro. Might drop back. It's pinging around. Still the danger not away. Eventually finds the head of Anthony Robinson. Comes back to the edge of the 18-yard box. Cleared away by Smith Rowe. Picked up by Muniz, who turns it out to Wilson. He then gives it out to Castagna. Castagna up the pitch. It drops out alongside the technical areas in front of the Riverside stands. And that ball could have ended up absolutely everywhere, anywhere.
It pinged up all over the place. But now it's Brighton starting to get control of the play this time. And they seem to be finding it easy to get to the back line of this Fulham defence. Very intricate with their passing, but they're positive so far. Fulham are really just playing on the counter at the moment.
Ball with Van Hecker. Picked up by O'Reilly. Now Van Hecker again decides to give it to Dunk inside the centre circle. Now with Igor Julio. Back to Van Hecker, a back three for Brighton. Played forward, flicked up, and Bassi makes sure he gets on that. I think he's suggesting that took a touch off Odinga on its way out of play. Certainly looking and appealing to the referee's assistant on this near side. The ball is in the hands of Bird Leno at the moment.
I think the wind and rain has stopped now. Just looking, it seems to have completely stopped.
I can see just a hint of a little bit of drizzle, but certainly it's not falling as heavily as it was previously. 1-0 to Fulham here at Craven Cottage, first of our commentary games. Flicked in from the Brighton right, finds its way across to be collected by Reece Nelson on the Fulham left-hand side. Up the pitch to Rodrigo Muniz. He's had that header in this first half. He looks for Harry Wilson, but it's over his head and drops out into the Riverside stand. Harry Wilson, who's got a good record against Brighton. He scored 2 goals, provided 2 assists in his last 4 Premier League appearances against tonight's opponents. And Fulham with a very good record against Brighton in the Premier League, unbeaten in the Premier League against tonight's opponents. 3-0 win here last season against the Seagulls. João Pedro slipped over, regained his balance quickly, comes across to Adinga. Shouts of a handball, perhaps?
Yeah, he's given it. The referee's given it. If you haven't seen it, Calvin Bass is still going on at the assistant. The referee had his arm out. He was fully aware of it.
Ivory Coast international. Won the African Cup of Nations, of course, with the Ivory Coast. He was man of the match in that final as well. It was against Nigeria, wasn't it? That was quite a fun final, actually, wasn't it? Yeah, of course, Fulham had a couple of players in that final as well. Ball here with Verbruggen. Former Anderlecht goalkeeper. Now between the sticks for Brighton. Up the pitch to Matoma. Matoma wide to the Brighton left-hand side. Comes back into midfield. BBC Radio London Sports on a Thursday evening. It is Fulham who lead here already by a 1-0. Alex Iwobi on the score sheets. I think it was probably in the 4th minute of the game, Paul Parker. We've now played 18 minutes and that goal is what separates the two sides at the moment. A long ball forwards from Brighton that ends up bouncing a couple of times on its way out of play for Bert Leno to collect. Leaves it for Bassi, Leno, and gets the ball back. Rolled by Bassi back to his goalkeeper. Up the pitch from him. Little back heel from Harry Wilson. Skill from the Welsh player. Now Smith Rowe turns it forward to Nelson. One who's signed from Arsenal, an Arsenal loanee. Nelson then asks a little bit of Smith Rowe, who is able to keep the ball in play, even though he ends up running into the advertising hoardings. Now it's Anthony Robinson, who was rather hoping that ball would actually find its way through 2 Brighton players. It doesn't, and it is the team who are the visitors here at Craven Cottage who get it back up the pitch. It's a cross that's high from the Brighton left-hand side. Robinson can't quite get there. Reece Nelson can. Reece Nelson then turns it back to Robinson in his left-back position. Forward to Rodrigo Muniz, wearing the number 9 this season, a number that he's had tattooed on his body. And then Fulham look for the run of Harry Wilson, who slips down onto the pitch as the ball drops away from him. Igor Julio forward for Brighton to midfield. 19 minutes played, 1-0 at the moment to the home side. A Fulham team who were in 12th at the start of play this evening on 19 points. Brighton in 5th on 23 points. Playing catch-up on the teams that played their 14th games of this Premier League season last night. That game between Liverpool and Newcastle was rather fun. And Paul Parker was suggesting that the rain had gone.
No, it's
what do you think?
Okay, it's cut. No, well, I say it did go, didn't it?
It did. I think another cloud is now overhead here in West London. Ball with Rodrigo Munoz. Out to Wilson again. Rodrigo Munoz is pulled wide.
I mean, how did Munoz do that, by the way? He's jumped with a player and he's beat him to the ball in the air, but he's taken the ball on his chest and comes down with it. That's absolutely amazing what he's done now.
One of the many players who's gained real confidence, I would suggest, under Marco Silva and his coaching staff.
Mitrovic going was a big thing, wasn't it? Caused a few problems because everyone was started thinking the worst was going to happen without him.
And they didn't replace him.
No.
They just kind of looked to Munoz, I think Vinicius as well. Who is on the bench this evening, by the way. Ball here is with Anthony Robinson. And we were talking about the rain coming back, and it's really come back now.
This is proper now.
And it's swirling around here inside Craven Cottage. What kind of conditions are these to play in, Paul?
Well, the rain isn't a problem, it's the wind which you don't enjoy as a player. And you can see that wind blowing. I'm just looking at Calvin Phillips and his shirt. Calvin Bassey, sorry. His shirt's all over the place. You can deal with the rain, it's just the wind which ruins the game, to be perfectly honest.
Often you can look at the corner flags for some guidance, but I think they're fairly protected, aren't they? But as you say, if you look at the shirts, that's the guide. Fulham have a free kick here, but it's some way out. A line of players waiting for this, maybe 7 or 8 yards out from the edge of the Brighton box. The ball that goes out to the right-hand side for Fulham. Shouts of a handball from some of the Fulham players and from the fans who had a decent view of that. And the referee's assistant had a really good view of that as well, Paul. So
you don't know what kind of mood they're in, though, the assistant referees, because they're told to flag or not. Whether he's been allowed to flag, and he's got to leave all the decisions to the referee.
Well, Calvin Bassey was absolutely furious. He was totally convinced.
Well, he did. He got nutmegged as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's the thing that's hurt him the most.
It's actually a free kick for Bassey on Beiba that is what has been given. And so Brighton have it back in their right back position. Really packed, by the way, at the Brighton away section here at Craven Cottage. And the ball is back with the Brighton goalkeeper, which leads to a few Fulham fans making the noise that kind of suggests, are you going to make a mistake in a minute? Because you did, to allow Alex Iwobi to give the home side the lead. Ball with Bassey. Comes across to Castagna, Belgian international, gives it to Wilson in front of him, then turned all the way back to that tall central defender Issa Diop, former West Ham man, and then out of play in front of that Riverside stand. It's starting to fill up with fans, the Riverside stand, but there are still empty seats up there.
Big clusters.
And it's a big issue in football in general, the cost of tickets, and that has been raised repeatedly here at Craven Cottage. With a Dinger who cuts in and curls it just wide. We had a good view of that, Paul.
It dropped as well. I thought it was going to go too high, but it was dropping, and it just dropped just at the corner. He didn't bother with it, Leno.
He could see where it was going.
Right, that's fair enough, and that's okay.
Scored on the opening day of the season against Everton, but since then his goals have been in the League Cup for Simone Adinga. So waiting for his next Premier League goal. No Danny Welbeck, by the way, this evening for Brighton and Hove Albion. We're told he picked up a slight knock, so not part of the side. Scored 6 goals this season, the 34-year-old.
He's a big miss to it, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a big miss.
Big miss.
He still knows how to score a goal or two, doesn't he?
And he can play as well.
Yeah. Ball is with Bassey. Rain gets heavier, if that's possible, here at Craven Cottage. Halfway through the first half on BBC Radio London Digital, and it is still that Alex Iwobi goal that's the difference between the two sides. And I suppose probably the best chance. I'm thinking maybe João Pedro with the best chance for Brighton, but Leno had that covered at his near post.
Oh, he did, yeah. I mean, that's the only time really they've opened up the defence in that time. But lucky enough for Fulham, it was in a wide area, so Leno could get his position right. But they haven't really done a lot. They've really pushed them, but they haven't really peppered Leno at all. He hasn't had anything to do. Fulham, the one who are causing the odd problems on the counter attack, threatening him behind this Brighton defence, and Brighton put themselves under pressure when they try and play out from the back.
Decent ball in from Iwobi. Now it's with Wilson. Lovely flick to Muniz. Muniz tries to get it back. Nelson was waiting. Brighton recover. Quick movement from Fulham, passing it fluidly. That was a vital interception. Brighton now on the front foot. They're forward on the left wing. Ball held up, comes back to João Pedro, steps into the Fulham box, players in white and black around him, comes back out to the left-hand corner of the 18-yard box, then it pings to Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe, I'm not sure if he quite knew what he was supposed to do with that, gives it back to Brighton briefly. Matoma just on the edge of the D. Fulham away yet again. Brighton have scored 10 goals away from home, but they've now conceded 9 on their travels. Reminder, their 2 defeats this season have come away from the Amex. Again, they keep trying those crosses from the left-hand side, and are the crosses not good enough?
No, they just haven't got a predator.
Yeah.
I mentioned his name a minute ago, Danny Welbeck. He would have seen that and he would have gambled. He would have just slid in.
So they're missing that man, aren't they? Here with Van Hecker. He's high up the pitch. Now with Adinga on the Brighton right-hand side. Dunk inside the Fulham half of the pitch. Finds Igor Julio. And Brighton are awarded a free kick. It was behind the pillar, Paul.
It was, yeah, but I've just seen on the replay, it was
Harry Wilson.
Just because the player stopped, it was just really, really soft, to be honest.
Heading towards the half-hour mark here at Craven Cottage. Still Fulham leading Brighton by 1-0 on BBC Radio London Digital and on the BBC Sport website on this Thursday evening. Really busy time for us, Radio London Sports, as we head up towards Christmas. Free kick for Brighton. It's going to be O'Reilly to take it. Low drive in. Finds a Brighton head. I think it might have been Van Hecker who got a touch on that. Ends up going out of play for a goal kick. I mentioned Matt Riley. I say a Fulham youth here. He was here for 11 years from the age of 8. Then ended up going to Celtic. His goal this season, he scored one. It was the winner against Manchester City.
It was when he had that injury, didn't he?
Paul Parker, who started his career at Fulham and then went off to some other clubs.
Yeah.
I don't know, whoever.
3 miles up the road.
Yes, I was thinking a little further than that.
Right,
Yes,
okay.
I was thinking your next journey.
Yeah.
M1, M6.
M1, M6.
There we go. Throw in for Brighton in front of
205 miles.
Right. Did you do that a few times? 29 minutes played. 1-0 to Fulham. Bournemouth against Tottenham still to come on the home of London football. But it is Fulham who lead here at the moment. Comes to Van Hecker, controlled by his chest. Gives it to Dunk to his left-hand side. Now Igor Julio plays it forwards. Ball out to the Brighton right. The block is by Castagna from the attempted cross from Matoma. Some very soggy looking players out there now.
I mean, what Fulham are doing now, they're forcing them inside all the time. They're not allowing Brighton to get in behind them to put balls across the front of Leno. So it's making it difficult for Brighton. Even though they're causing the more problems going forward. They're not really done enough, earned the right to be back in this game at the moment in time.
One loss in their last 7 for Brighton. Ball is with Dunk. Now Van Hecker, so the visitors holding up the ball in defence. You might be able to hear the wind slightly blowing up microphones now here in West London. I think we're heading towards our next storm, aren't we? I think in the next 24 hours or so. So do take care out there. But yes, I think it's going to get windier and wetter as well over the next day or so, heading towards the weekend. Brighton have a throw-in that could find its way into the Fulham box if it's hard enough. And we've got 15 minutes left to play before half-time. Throw-in the end is taken short to Matoma. Now it comes across to Van Hecker. Van Hecker forward to Adingra on the Brighton right-hand side. Now back to Van Hecker again. Comes infield to Vifa. To Dunk again. Brighton with a spell of possession. Flicked out to Adingra. O'Reilly offers an option. Turn back to Dunk instead on the centre spots as he rolls the ball out to the Brighton left-hand side. Just holding on to the ball at the moment, Brighton and Hove Albion. But it's in midfield and it's a turn from Bayiba. The referee now gets in the way, as I think Berger was the player who slid in, and he's going to get the first yellow card of the evening. That was right in front of the referee, who instantly reaches into his pocket. A yellow card for Sander Berger.
Yeah, I think that goes ground. I don't know what kind of contact he made. You know that it's...
Well, he almost took out the referee. That's how close he was.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a big bit of contact, but players are going down now and they are shouting when they go down. But it'll be all right, Pedro.
It didn't look that bad to me. No, it didn't look like it warranted a booking. But as I say, the referee was right there. He almost had to step out of the way to allow Sander Berger to slide in on João Pedro. The referee decides that that's a foul that warrants a yellow card. Free kick for Brighton, but some way out.
It is some way out. What happens if you go in high on the referee? What's the decision there?
I don't know. Right, okay. That's a very good question. I know what happens if you show the referee the card that they dropped.
Oh, yeah.
Then you get shown it yourself, don't they? No sense of humour at all.
No, not allowed that. It's in the rules.
Yeah.
They've lost that now.
Yeah. O'Reilly to take this free kick. It's hacked back up the pitch by Smith Rowe. Haven't seen enough of Smith Rowe, I don't think, Paul, in this first half hour.
He gets involved in the game when he's a possession-based player. They've got to get hold of the ball, and you find him, you find Iwobi, and you find Reece Nelson, but you're not seeing them because they haven't been on the ball enough, which is... I come to Fulham, and this is a rarity for me to see Fulham without the ball.
I think the possession stats are very much in Brighton's favour at the moment. And guess what? They've got it at the moment. Ball is with Dunk. They might have the ball, Brighton, but it's Fulham who have the lead. 34 minutes played here at Craven Cottage. And it's Matoma who tries to put the ball in. This is a real chance.
What save.
Adingra forces a great save from Bert Leno. He just lifted up his right arm. And it was cool as a cucumber from the Fulham goalkeeper.
Well, that was incredible. He was actually coming that way as well. And I have to say, Adingra will be saying to himself, I should have done better there. But he couldn't have done any more than what he done. He's put the ball back to where it's coming from. Leno's coming towards it, touches him, I think, off his left-hand side. That should have been 1-1. And that's the first time they've got him behind this Fulham defence.
Leads to a corner that comes in, ricochets around, comes out for a shot from just outside the box. Estepinian with the shots, and they're saying that they deserve a corner, I think, as a result of that. Takes a deflection on its way wide. Was it Berger? I think he just stuck out a leg.
Stuck out a leg, yeah.
So it goes out for another corner.
Yeah.
They are sensing maybe a chance to get an equaliser here, Brighton. 1-0 to Fulham. just over 10 minutes before half time. O'Reilly with the ball to the far post, comes back for a shot from Matoma. Now it's with Iwobi. Fulham fans urging their team forward, want to see Fulham break, turn defence into attack following that Brighton corner. Kept by Iwobi, who gives it instead back to Issa Diop. And no.
He done the right thing there, to be honest. It was a make or break pass to go into Harry Wilson, and given how the things are, he's just taking the tempo out of it and starting to Fulham to start again. If he makes that pass, there was a good chance he was going to give possession back to Brighton.
Ball is with Iwobi, who occasionally is sort of sitting in a... he seems to be almost in a right back position, doesn't he?
Sitting really deep.
Because I suppose he's got Castagna behind him and Harry Wilson in front of him. But sometimes, as you say, I think he's sitting surprisingly deep. Iwobi on the Fulham right-hand side. Brighton with a throw-in. A reminder, Bournemouth-Tottenham to come here on BBC Radio London. That game kicking off at 8:15, starting on the BBC Sport website, and then the second half on BBC Radio London digital as well. Dunk is awarded a free kick. Comes out to O'Reilly and Adingra on the Brighton right-hand side. Now comes in field, back to Adingra again, who's had that chance in this first half. Muniz tries to win the ball back, ends up on the Brighton left-hand side. Stupinen with a few step-overs, plays it back into midfield. Now Dunk continues advancing, the Brighton captain, to Adingra. I think might have done that intentionally, played it out off Anthony Robinson to win Brighton the corner, the Ivory Coast international.
Yeah, he just looked like he had nowhere to go, and that's what he just smashed it straight against Anthony Robinson. And he is struggling a bit against him, Anthony. He's very quick with the ball at his feet. He's not always going to out-muscle Anthony Robinson, but he's definitely beating him by his movement and with the gift of the ball he's got.
Another corner for Brighton, another one taken by O'Reilly. It's the 9'7" Issa Diop who heads it away. That's what he's there for.
Yeah, he's a big man.
Dunk's not exactly small, is he?
No, I mean, but I have to turn around and say that Calvin Bassey has definitely got a little bit more agility than definitely he's more agile.
Oh, well, another Van Hecker mistake, rather casual there in the Brighton defence. Fulham can't take full advantage, and now Brighton quickly forward. The pass is a heavy one over Ndinga and out. Cheers from the Fulham supporters.
Yeah, there was no need for that pass. He missed people out, trying to go route one from one side to the other. Got a few looks from his own teammates.
Comes back to Bassey. No Anderson alongside him at the moment. Of course, back at Fulham after being at Crystal Palace last season, but has missed some football after, well, he got sent off here against Aston Villa, so he missed some football because of that, and now he's got an injury as well. So it does mean Issa Diop is alongside Bassey at the moment. Bassey's on the ball currently, 39 on the clock, urging his teammates forward, but plays it short to Anthony Robinson to his left-hand side. Comes back to Bassey, who flicks it across that defence to Diop. Now it's collected by Castagna on the Fulham right-hand side. Back in field to Diop. This time he plays it up the pitch to Berger, who's got that booking in this second half, and the Berger pass, well, if it was intended for Marco Silva, it found him.
It was for Castagna, who never moved.
No.
Berger's given him a look. He wanted him to step forwards.
Have to remind you again that Castagna hasn't really been playing because Kenny Tete's been performing so well. So there is a chance for him this evening. Maybe a chance for him to celebrate his birthday with a victory, leading at the moment. First Premier League start of the season for him and for Harry Wilson tonight. And Fulham leading 1-0 through that early goal from Alex Iwobi as we head towards the break. Nelson trying to win the ball in midfield. Pumped up the pitch by Viva, but again just too much power in that pass forward from the Dutch player, and it will go out of play. A few Dutch players now actually in this Brighton side, who now have a very young German manager. Keep mentioning how young he is, but 31, and as Phil was saying in the build-up, I mean, he's been a coach for 8 years or so already. He's already had huge success as a manager.
I played for a young manager who gave me my debut here at Fulham, Malcolm McDonald. He was 29 he was.
Right, okay.
Yes. Saying that he didn't look like a 29-year-old of today's 29-year-old.
No, nobody did though in those days. Comb over and a pipe by the time they were 23. Here with Van Hecker, now with Dunk. 4 minutes before the break. Forward to Adinga, squeezed between two Fulham players in Berger and Smith Rowe. So the Brighton number 11 turns it back to the Brighton number 5 in Dunk. Igor Julio trying to get past halfway at the moment. Has Harry Wilson for company. Now played forward to Adinga. Adinga up the pitch to O'Reilly. Now with Robinson. Volume increases at Craven Cottage as it's collected by the Fulham captain. The pass into Smith Rowe, lost by him though. Bayiba picks it back up for Brighton. Estupinan on the Brighton left-hand side. Ball cut in, hoping to find Matoma. Fulham though take it away, and the groans at the moment are because there's not an obvious kind of. I'm not sure what Fulham are quite doing at the moment, Paul. I'm almost thinking that they just want that half-time whistle to blow so they can sort of reshape.
Well, the thing about it, they need to do it to sort out Iwobi's position at the moment. Is it Estupinan? The full-back, the left-back? Is it pronounced Estupinan?
Yeah, Estupinan, yeah.
Estupinan.
Estupinan, I think it is, something like that.
They're playing free at the back. He's virtually pushing right up as a wing-back, going right up there, and he's dragging Iwobi back with him. So that's why he's starting off in that defensive position. So when they get on the ball, every time they have the ball, they're defending as a free. They've got free at the back, and he's squeezed right up there. So straight away they've taken the player away, and that leaves so much space in that area for them to go and play. And Iwobi is struggling, so the manager will be looking to change that at half time.
Brighton have a free kick 3 minutes before the break here at Craven Cottage. Fulham leading by a goal to nil, and the free kick ends up going over the crossbar from O'Reilly. Fulham fans rather enjoyed that. I think I was asking in the build-up whether or not Wilson, Iwobi, Nelson, can they all sort of play in the same starting 11? Maybe Alex Iwobi isn't quite familiar with the position that he's got.
Well, I think he's in that position because he's been forced into it by the way Brighton are set up. He'll change that, but there's a problem here with Sander Berg at the moment.
Yeah, the free kick actually, it was taken behind a pillar, which meant that I couldn't actually see it being taken, but it ended up finding a Brighton head. Sander Berger made sure he got in the way, and he might have sort of picked up an injury as a consequence. The medical staff are on. It allows players to come across and get some hydration. Not that they've got that long to go before they will be able to get a bit more than that at half time. But Sander Berger is down, and which part of him do we think is hurting? You think it might be his left wrist?
No, I can see
his
blood,
nose.
blood
Okay.
coming from his nose. But he looked like to me he was holding his wrist initially, but there's blood coming from his nose.
And I think that was blocking the Brighton attempts. At the moment, the replays we're getting here at Craven Cottage are of that goal from Alex Iwobi early on. who was basically passed the ball by the Brighton goalkeeper and said thank you very much. Not only was he passed the ball by Verbruggen, but Verbruggen was wide of his goal at the time and gave it straight to him. I mean, he sort of looked almost embarrassed, Alex Iwobi, when he scored that.
I couldn't believe he was going to get the ball given to him in front of an empty net. I mean, he's on the left-hand side of his goal. If anything, play the ball to that side.
Yeah, he's holding his face, isn't he, here?
Yeah.
Sander Berger. Well, he's got the obligatory tissue paper shoved up one of his nostrils. So I'm glad that modern science has led to that. And so, yes, obviously he had got his face in the way of that chance for Brighton a few moments ago.
And as well with medical science, we've learnt now that you don't put your head back when you got.
No, you don't. You go forward, but you do still pinch the bridge, don't you?
Yeah, but back in the day, it was always put your head back.
But then the blood's going to go down. I mean, I don't want to. I hope you're not eating dinner at the moment, listeners. But think about it sensibly. You want the blood to come out rather than go backwards.
You know, it was a case of just stopping it at that given time, Emma. Stop it. We've still got a score to contend with.
Well, he's got to change his shirt because he's got blood on his shirt, Sander Berger, and also he will have to wait to come back onto the pitch. And I think the tissue will stay up that left nostril until the half-time whistle goes. And, well, we're a minute into that now, and I think, 2 minutes was shown by the fourth official, but we might see more than 2 minutes because Sander Berger, I think, was still being treated as we headed into stoppage time, and we're about 30 seconds then from that half-time whistle going, except I think the referee will allow a bit more than the 30 seconds to take it up to 47 in this first half. 1-0 to Fulham though, as we head towards the break. But I would say, Paul, that since Fulham scored early on, I think the best chances have gone to Brighton.
Oh, they've definitely gone to Brighton, yeah. They had a spell after where they was getting some counters off the back of Brighton overplaying. Brighton have weathered that problem.
Here it's with Smith Rowe though, late in this first half. Loses the ball and has to come back. Really good control with his head to bring it down onto his boot, Smith Rowe. And now he's trying to get away. Gives it in field to Iwobi, just on the edge of the D. He gives it out to Robinson. Lovely crossing from him. The header. It's with Rodrigo Muniz. It's what he does so often, Rodrigo Muniz. He doesn't stay on the floor. He throws his whole body up into the air. And often that means that his touch takes it off target.
He's got such a good leap, and what he does, he leaps early as well. Because you look at him compared to the two centre-halves, or three centre-halves they're playing with, Brighton, and he's smaller than all three of them, but yet he's winning so many headers because he jumps early.
And that's it for the first half here at Craven Cottage. Alex Iwobi's early goal, gifted to him by the Brighton goalkeeper, put Fulham ahead. Since then, João Pedro with a shot at the near post, saved by Bird Leno, and I guess probably their best chance, Simona Dinga's effort, forcing a brilliant save from the Fulham goalkeeper. At the break here in West London, it is Fulham lead Brighton by a 1-0.
Let's go to the Vitality Stadium. Been a goal for Andy Rowley.
Bournemouth 1, Tottenham 0, and it came from a corner. Tavernier sent the corner in left-footed. It swung towards the back post, and there was the 19-year-old Dean Huyson, 6'5", won the header, and in it went past Fraser Forster. Was able to pick his spot. No one really got close enough to him or in front of him, and Bournemouth lead here against Spurs by a 0-0.
Thanks, Andy. Not great at defending set pieces, are they, Spurs? Let's go back to our first commentary game then of the night. Fulham against Brighton Hove Albion, leading by a 0-0. Paul Parker is alongside Emma Jones.
Thank you very much. Emile Smith-Rowe has the ball down on the centre spot. London Calling rings out around Craven Cottage, and the second half underway here. Quickly forward, Harry Wilson. Well, that would have been spectacular. We have played 11 seconds of the second half, and from the kick-off, it was launched up to Harry Wilson. He tried to volley it into the back of the net. It wasn't that far off target. No,
it was a cultured launch as well. It was a bit Brentford-like.
A cultured launch?
Yes,
yes, it was very Brentford-like. 11 seconds, that's almost kind of snail pace, isn't it, for Brentford? just over 26,500, I believe, here this evening. I did have the attendance handed to me on a bit of A4 paper, but I've dropped it immediately. Littering here at Craven Cottage. No changes to either side at the break. Bird Leno in goal for the home side. It's Timothy Castagna, Issa Diop, Calvin Bassett and Anthony Robinson, who's wearing the captain's armband in defence. Sander Berger, who picked up a yellow card in the first half, also picked up a bloody nose actually, but it looks as if he's had 15 minutes to get that treated. Harry Wilson, Alex Iwobi, the goal scorer, Emil Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson and Rodrigo Muniz are your Fulham team this evening. Bart Verbruggen is the Brighton goalkeeper, and it was he who passed the ball to Alex Iwobi to give Fulham the lead 4 minutes into the first half. And then there's a back three of Igor Julio, Lewis Dunk and Jean-Paul Van Hecke. Purvis Estupinen. I always have to think about that because I was told it was Estupinian initially, but then his pronunciation changed and I've never quite caught up, I have to confess. Matt O'Reilly, Mats Viva, Caro Motoba, Carlos Baiba, Simon Adinga and João Pedro are your Brighton team here this evening. Van Hecke forward for the visitors. The block is by Iwobi, and we were sort of saying in commentary in the first half and also I suppose during the half-time chat about the kind of Alex Iwobi, not quite sure what his position is at the moment really, with so many of a similar player on the pitch. Harry Wilson starting here though. It is Brighton who hold on to it with the player whose name I've said about 15 different ways already this evening. Comes in field. Now Brighton trying to slalom their way into the Fulham box. Berger has other ideas. Harry Wilson tries to go on a run straight at Igor Julio, who is probably about 2 stone heavier than he is.
I mean, he's a bulk, isn't he?
Yeah, but also Harry Wilson's very slight.
Yes.
So between the two of them, I'm not going to fat shame anyone, Paul Barker.
I mean, I wasn't, to be honest. Really. No. I wasn't. I don't think there's any fat.
It's all muscle. I was going to say it's all muscle.
Between the two of them, there's about 8%.
Yeah. Here it's with Estupinian. He's got Fulham players both sides of him. Now comes to João Pedro. Smith-Rowe collects to turn it back to Diop. Diop forward to Muniz. And I'm not sure what quite went on there, Paul.
No, there was 2 hands in the back from Lewis Dunk, and the referee just let it go. And all of a sudden, the referee's blowing his whistle. Someone's got in his ear there and told him, without a shadow of a doubt, because he never saw it.
VAR is Paul Tierney this evening. Your match official on the pitch is Peter Banks tonight. Haven't really had to say his name so far. The only time we might have had to was when he almost got taken out by Sander Berger, didn't he? And we were wondering what happens if you foul the referee. Muniz, lovely flick out to Nelson. Nelson brings it down with his right thigh. Holds onto the ball. Shoot is encouraged to do. Leaves it for Wilson. Shouts of a handball instantly from Brighton Fulham players. Comes back to Smith-Rowe inside the Brighton box. Now with Robinson on the overlap, Robinson with the cross, ricochet dangerously around, ends up going out for a corner, and I'm not sure the Brighton defence knew a huge amount about that. It was a Robinson cross from the left wing, and I think it got a Brighton touch to go out for a corner. 5 minutes into the second half, it sort of bounced off 2 Brighton players, didn't it? I think the initial clearance possibly ended up bouncing away off a Brighton player. And was it a handball? No, it came off the top of his shoulder, didn't it?
Correct, absolutely correct.
So we saw a replay of that. Corner for Fulham. It's a low one to the near post. Several players leaping for it. One of them was Bassi. eventually it is turned all the way back to Bird Leno. Still windy here in West London. Not as wet as it was in the first half, but the weather conditions may be playing a part. Lovely long pass up the pitch to Reece Nelson. He then turns it back to Smith Rowe. Fulham with the ball on the left hand side, comes infield to Iwobi, back with Iwobi again. Iwobi twisting and turning, doesn't go for the shot, gives it to Nelson. Nelson then lays it off for Robinson. Robinson to the far post, and Igor Julio had to make sure that he just ran across Rodrigo Muniz.
He had to get in front of him. He was aware of Muniz being there. It's been a good start by Fulham. They've definitely kicked on from what they were in the first half.
Saying that, I thought Brighton were really bright right at the start of this second half, but yes, positive from Fulham. Another low corner from Harry Wilson on the Fulham right. Comes back to Wilson, still with Wilson. He's brought down, quickly back to his feet. Van Hecker flicks it away, only as far as Nelson. Dropping down onto the pitch was O'Reilly. Brighton try and get it away. Iwobi collects it halfway, decides to turn it back to Leno. Alex Iwobi always looks like a player who hasn't quite got his kit fully on yet. He hasn't had time to sort of tuck in his shirt or pull up his socks.
I know, he looks like he's just been picked up off the streets. There's someone wearing one of our kits. Let's give him a game.
Yeah, he's just accidentally ended up on the pitch. I'll tell you what though, he's scored a goal this evening, and he's a singer in his spare time. Released a single or two, yeah. 1-0 to Fulham. That's silence, Paul Parker, hasn't it? I thought he was going to break into song.
No, I couldn't. Well, he's kind of from my area anyway. He's from Grays. He's an Essex boy.
Brighton have got themselves a corner. It goes out off. Well, O'Reilly made sure it went out off a Fulham touch last.
I'm going to find it now. You got me thinking. I'm going to try and find it.
The Alex Iwobi single?
Yeah, what kind of music is.
Yeah. R&B, I think.
Is it?
Yeah. Corner for O'Reilly to take. This in front of the Brighton fans. Van Hecker's header ends up on the roof of the Fulham net.
I think he should have scored with that. I think he should have scored. He's got up so easy. He's jumped so early, and he's there on his own. Should have scored. Hasn't
scored a goal yet this season. Jan-Paul Van Hecker should have scored there, according to Paul Parker. Latest corner for Brighton. Header from Van Hecker onto the roof of the Fulham goal. Picked up here by Castagna. Castagna then asked to run forward from a pass from Wilson. Turned back by Igor Julio. Castagna had continued his run. Harry Wilson comes across to take it out for a Brighton throw-in the end. He's everywhere, Harry Wilson. He's like a terrier, isn't he, chasing this ball?
Well, he's trying to prove a point, isn't he? He wants regular football. That's what the manager wants.
But managers would explain that bringing a player off the bench sometimes is even more important than starting them. An impact player, a player like Harry Wilson with that energy, he comes on against you, Paul Parker, after you've played 60, 70 minutes of football. You're shattered already.
That's right, but he's a player with quality as well. He's got more, running around, he's got a lot more in his game than that.
With Van Hecker, had that chance for Brighton a few moments ago. He's on halfway now at the moment. Blonde hair, forward to João Pedro, comes down, that's a strike, and that's the equaliser, and it's Carlos Baiba who makes it all square here at Craven Cottage. The pass forward, the touch from João Pedro, the strike from Carlos Baiba, who races across to celebrate with the travelling fans. It's 56 minutes played here at Craven Cottage, and it's Fulham 1, Brighton 1.
Yeah, Baiba, he's looked good. He's looked good on the ball. He's strong on the ball. Very rarely gives it away as well. But Van Hecker's ball into him, left foot. What a great strike that is as well. He's hit it so early. That's the one that's done Leno as well. No touch, just bang, straight off. Just off the outside, a little bit off the outside of his foot as well.
Lovely back heel from João Pedro as well.
It certainly was. What a strike that was.
And he sort of peeled away like, yeah, I do that every day.
Nonchalant.
That's perfect, yes, nonchalant from Carlos Baiba. And now they're forward again. João Pedro's almost got behind Bassi. Bobbles away in the end. Yeah, that was a quick ball from Van Hecker, a back heel from João Pedro, and a cool finish from Baiba. 1-1 here at Craven Cottage. Haven't seen a shot of Marco Silva recently, but he's probably kicked one or two water bottles away. A reminder that the Brighton manager isn't in the dugout this evening. Both he and Marco Silva are familiar with being banned from the touchline, but got shown a yellow card in the draw against Southampton at the weekend. The young Brighton manager so is watching this from the posh seats, I think, in the Riverside stand opposite us.
I think they've got that through frustration as well. The game should have been dead and buried before Brighton scored. Before Southampton equalised. Yeah. And then they were quite fortunate with the one that was disallowed.
The VAR, yeah.
Yeah.
Forward again for Brighton. Real positivity from the side now, who've got themselves an equaliser to get the Brighton supporters singing behind the Bird Leno goal.
Oh.
And that was Matoma, who was really keen to keep that ball in play. Credit to him. He was rather chasing a lost cause there.
Yeah, I worry about him, and it's a bit like Old Trafford here. They've got a little bit of a slope there. You go
straight into the advertising hoardings.
And they're not like they used to be, those hoardings, are they?
You need them to be sort of padded in some way, don't you?
You do, but you can't because of the advertising.
No, I agree.
Can't do it. It won't do it now.
You might end up with a photographer somewhere as well. A camera.
Oh no, it's worth getting hold of a camera of what they cost.
Yeah, a microphone.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't want a microphone. Take the camera home with you.
Brighton on the attack again. Bounces a couple of times. Leno makes sure he gets there first. And there is an added confidence to this Brighton side having got that equaliser, Paul.
Oh, there's definitely an edge about them. I mean, to be honest, for a side that went down with a goal like that, it's just absolutely incredible how they reacted to it.
1-1 here. A reminder that Fulham have scored in every game this season but have conceded in every game. So so there we go. Consistency from this Fulham side. I did suggest to fill in the build-up that we would have goals. That was guaranteed due to that record for Marco Silva's side. Here it's with Iwobi. Got Fulham ahead with 4 minutes on the clock. Crosses from Castagna, dealt with by the Brighton defence, comes back to Anthony Robinson. Hour played here at Craven Cottage, 1-1 here. How are things going for Tottenham away at Bournemouth? Andy Rowley.
It's still Tottenham trailing by 1-0 here against Bournemouth, who scored from a corner through their teenage centre-half Dean Huijsen. Spurs have looked dangerous in creating moments for Kulusevski and Solanke, but haven't really tested Kepa Arrizabalaga yet, and Bournemouth looking really dangerous on the break. Almost had a second, but Tavernier just offside from Evan Nielsen's pass. It's still Bournemouth 1, Tottenham 0.
Thank you very much. We will be there on BBC Radio London Digital at the conclusion of the game here at Craven Cottage, but you can hear full commentary on the BBC Sport website now if you want to hear how Tottenham are doing away against Bournemouth. Phil was saying at half-time about Tottenham struggling to defend set pieces. That was put to Ange Postecoglou after the 2-2 draw against Roma. He did not enjoy being asked about the facts. Surprise, surprise. Here it's forward to Nelson. Nelson, is he going to go for the shot? Van Hecker takes it away from him. And he just took too long there, Reece Nelson.
He did. He thought about it for too long. He done great touch to get himself in that position. And the defender was just gone, and he's allowed it to come back. He's tried to check back again. Madness what he's done there. Wonderful ball, great first touch, poor decision on what to do next.
Now with João Pedro. Brighton with the ball on the left-hand edge of the Fulham box. Will go out for a Brighton throw-in. Just to clarify the Fulham stat about scoring and conceding, that is at home, by the way, that they have both scored and conceded in each of their last 10 Premier League home games. So that's now up to 11 after this evening. Ball with Dunk. A lot of managers, I mean, yeah, they'd rather keep a clean sheet, but if you are going to concede, just make sure you score more than the other side. Here it's with Matoma. Promising crossing from the left-hand side. The Fulham touch almost plays it to a Brighton player. It feels like there are probably more goals in this game, and we've got just under half an hour to see if that's the case. 1-1 at the moment. Iwobi for the home sides. Bayiba for Brighton. Turn from Nelson. Now with Iwobi. Iwobi launches it up to the chest of Harry Wilson. He's blocked by Van Hecker at close range. Now it's a calm ball back from Estupinan to his goalkeeper. Had to keep his cool. Collects the ball again, the Ecuadorian. And now played in field to Vifa for Brighton. Van Hecker. Pass this time finds Castagna's head. Down to a touch from Berger. Berger forward to Reece Nelson. Nelson runs down the Fulham left wing. Rodrigo Muniz waiting for it. He's brought down by Van Hecker. And a yellow card for the Brighton player. And a free kick for Fulham.
Well, I have to say, Reece Nelson should have been doing that a long time ago, because that is an actual centre half in the full-back area. His feet are just not going to be quick enough. He's not going to be comfortable in that area of the park. And he's got to be doing that again now, but he should have done that ages ago. Instead of thinking about going past him, he should have tried to do that more often.
Free kick as a result for Fulham. This is maybe about, 6-7 yards out from the left-hand corner of the Brighton box. A couple of Fulham players wait behind it. Sorry, Paul.
It's got to be it's going to be a right foot here. It has to be, rather than Harry Wilson's there, but he can't be the one taking it, surely. It's got to be Reece Nelson who's going to swing this in towards the goalkeeper.
As you say, Wilson and Nelson are the options. Sounds like a solicitor's firm.
No, I got it wrong now. I think it looks like I got it wrong. It's the left foot who's going to do it.
So it's going to be Harry Wilson with his left foot that plays it in. Punched up into the air by Verbruggen. Wasn't in any way going to collect that at all, the Brighton goalkeeper. Just got his right glove to that and punched it as far away as he possibly could.
It was a great punch, by the way.
It was.
Absolute great punch.
65 minutes on the clock. 1-1 here at Craven Cottage. Bournemouth leading Tottenham by a goal to nil. Will be there at the conclusion of the game here. A double header last night. Was it last night or the night before? God, it all seems a blur. We've had an awful lot of football recently, haven't we? We've been very, very busy. We were with Brentford away against Aston Villa last night. We were with Crystal Palace away at Ipswich on Tuesday evening. And then what was the game after that? Was it West Ham?
West Ham, Leicester.
Yes, that sounds, yeah, Leicester, West Ham, thank you. As I say, they've been very, very busy, our London sides, and we've been following them up and down the country. I think Phil only just got back from the game for Brentford to present the show this evening. Throw in for Fulham. Comes to a Brighton player. Drop back to Verbruggen, who plays it out from the back to Van Hecker. Either manager tempted to look to their bench. This is about the time that a manager thinks about a plan B, a plan C, depending on Just some fresh legs.
Depends how the plan before is actually going. Could they jump from A to C?
Why not?
So I'm looking at the game. The game's gone really flat now.
Now with Berger. Reminder, no Sasha Lukic this evening. 5th yellow card for him against Tottenham. But I would suggest that Sander Berger is slotted in rather well into this Fulham side. Here it's with Smith Rowe to Diop inside his own penalty area. Berger shut down by Estupinan. Goes out for a throw-in that Castagna will take. Gives it to the Fulham goal scorer Alex Iwobi. Then Castagna is clipped by Vifa. Is awarded a free kick which he takes. Diop back to Bird Leno, who has the Brighton fans behind him in this second half, the Fulham goalkeeper. And so when that equaliser was scored, Bieba was straight across to celebrate with the travelling fans. Rodrigo Muniz sat down on the pitch. Free kick for Fulham inside their own half. It does look like some changes will be made. It's the home side who are going to take them, and I can see the distinctive hair of Andreas Pereira, I believe, Paul Parker. So that is one of the changes of the two being made by Fulham when they get the opportunity. 1-1 here at Craven Cottage. 68 minutes on the clock. BBC Radio London Digital and the BBC Sport website on a Thursday evening. Back here, by the way, with Fulham on Sunday. They've got Arsenal coming to town. If memory serves, they had a good result against Arsenal last season.
They did.
So they will hope to replicate that.
It's a double substitution.
Guess what? Yes. The rain is starting to fall a little bit heavier. So those players who are coming off might be saying thank you very much to Marco Silva. Those who are coming on are going to be getting wet quite quickly. Fulham are having to do some defending at the moment, and Harry Wilson among the players who's back there. Up to Nelson, who pumps it back into the path of the running Anthony Robinson. He then steps inside from the Fulham left, then leaves the ball for Nelson. Nelson being blocked by Adinga from playing a ball in fields. Pereira waiting to come on when the chance arises. Robinson's cross away by Brighton, hooked over the head of a Brighton player in midfield to bounce back into the Fulham half of the pitch. And Traore's the other player, and it's really raining here now. If we could see the clouds above us, they would be black with the rain that is dropping now inside Craven Cottage. Andreas Pereira, and it's definitely Adama Traore because he's got his shirt tucked in. The baby oil is in full effect. He won't need it tonight, Paul, will he?
Well, I think Reece Nelson has made it easy for that substitution anyway.
Yeah, because he's down now.
Yeah, I think he seems like he's pulled something.
So Nelson for Traore, and then we'll see who Pereira comes on for as well. Absolutely lashing down here at Craven Cottage now.
And it's going.
All I'm thinking about now is let's hope it clears before we have to head for the exits. And it's so bad actually that a few supporters are having to sort of leave their seats because otherwise they are going to be soaked in a matter of minutes. As you say, Nelson stayed down, medical staff have come on, and we hope that this isn't bad for the Arsenal loanee, Paul Parker.
No, he's gone down, kind of limped off, just laid the ball off, just put the ball into space and then he just limped off. Yeah, he's definitely done a hamstring.
Coming off number 32, Emil Smith-Rowe.
Well, Emil Smith-Rowe is coming off and Andreas Pereira will come on for him. And we're thinking Adama Traore for Reece Nelson, aren't we?
Definitely.
Number 18, Andreas Pereira.
Oh, I was wondering if there might be a few boos.
Reece Nelson.
And Reece Nelson, the other change. And Adama Traore
Coming on number 11, Adama Traore.
comes on for him. Andreas Pereira not part of the Fulham sides against Tottenham. Just to remind you, there seemed to be some kind of mistranslation of something he said to a Brazilian journalist about maybe the possibility of a move, and the fact that it was slightly unfortunate. Van Heck, coming off, and Tariq Lamptey is coming on, so that's a change made by Brighton, a player who's got a booking for Brighton. And if Fulham fans have done their full study of the Brighton team, I was expecting a bit of booing actually when Tariq Lamptey came on.
You're on about
Chelsea, yeah,
but he's not really known as a Chelsea player.
Well, I always think of him as a Chelsea player, because I thought he was playing really well for Chelsea, and then all of a sudden he was sold.
Yeah.
But what do I know? They've gone through another 200 players since then, haven't they, Chelsea?
Just a 200.
So Lamptey on for Brighton, Pereira and Traore on for Fulham. I say sort of a mistranslation of something that Andreas Pereira said that he's subsequently cleared up, saying he is happy at Fulham. But I think the gist of the article was that he was possibly hoping that there might be a possibility of him leaving the club at some stage to go to Marseille. Marco Silva saying after the game against Tottenham, no, he wasn't available today, but on the bench this evening and has come on, and we've got 72 minutes on the clock. 1-1 here at Craven Cottage, and the ball is in the back line for the visitors. Out to Lamptey. Fresh legs on the Brighton right. Up the pitch to O'Reilly. Now a back heel from Bassi. And I was talking about the fact that the players could end up running into the photographers, and he's done exactly that. Got a stomach full of lens there, I think, didn't he?
Yeah.
74 minutes on the clock. What's it like to play? I've asked you before about the wind and the rain. Are you able to ignore it?
Yeah, I think. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Is that the referee getting in the way?
Yeah, the referee took one.
He did. And so he's having to call it back, because he then has to do a drop ball, doesn't he, where he is.
The problem is, what does he do here?
Shouts of off.
It should be a Brighton ball, but
yeah, he got in the way of Baiba. The fans here are saying off, suggesting that referee should send himself off. I think when the referee gets in the way, it's just a drop ball, isn't it?
It is a drop ball to the team in possession.
Yeah.
But he's ran, to be honest, didn't he see the referee?
Well, he's walked back, and I think João Pedro's saying it's our ball.
No, I think he's got that right. If he gives it a Fulham, I think that's the right way to go.
He's given it to Issa Diop. Boos from those Brighton supporters. Well, that's the only thing they're upset about this evening. They've not had a bad night. Diop squares to Bassi. 15 minutes left of the 90 here at Craven Cottage, and we will be heading off for the closing stages of Bournemouth-Tottenham. I think we were hearing that it was quite windy there. In fact, it's half time there. I wonder if we can go for an update from Andy Rowley.
Yeah, we haven't blown away just yet, but Tottenham did not cover themselves in glory, defending a corner early in the piece. It was floated in by Tavernier and headed in by the 19-year-old centre-half Dean Huijsen for his first goal for Bournemouth. Tottenham almost conceded a second when Forster had to pull off a very smart save from a Tavernier header, and they haven't really worked the keeper enough in this first half. Tottenham trailing 1-0 at the break.
Thank you very much. As I say, we will have the conclusion of that match. This game here kicked off at 7:30, and 8:15 starts for Tottenham away against Bournemouth this evening. Ball in field to Viva. Double substitution going to be made by Brighton. It looks like Fulham might be about to make a change as well. Up the pitch, Matoma tries to get there, and Castagna just makes sure that it ends up with Leno instead. So Brighton about to make 2 changes already, have brought on Lamptey in the last couple of minutes, and Fulham, having made a double substitution, are now preparing to make their 3rd change of this game, and it might be Raul Jimenez, I think, who's coming on.
I've just seen the little head.
Yeah, he's had to put his head protection on here. Here it's with Harry Wilson, still with Harry Wilson, pumps it out to Traore, who's on the Fulham left-hand side. Traore with the cross in, headed away by Estupinan in front of the Brighton goal. Ball still in play, so those changes not yet able to be made by either side. Comes out to Castagna into Pereira pings the ball up into the air and down onto the chest of Traore on the Fulham left hand side. Robinson again on the overlap, comes in field, the USA international, bobbles away from him, promising position for any Fulham player who was there, but nobody was. Now it's with Iwobi, shoots at the Fulham fans, leaves it for Traore instead. Traore goes to the byline, tries to cut it back, the block takes it out. This is a corner for Fulham, and it's going to be a triple substitution for Brighton, a double change for Fulham when the opportunity arises. This, I imagine, apart from anything else, is because there are so many games for these teams to play in quick succession that they don't want to ask too much, either manager, of the players who are having to play 3 games in a week. Corner to be taken by the home side. It's Pereira who stands behind this latest set piece. 78 minutes on the clock, 1-1 here. The wind whistling around inside Craven Cottage. That will be playing its part in proceedings here in West London. Referee just sorting out a few players in front of the Brighton goalkeeper. I think Issa Diop's trying to make a nuisance of himself. The Pereira corner comes in and goes in, and Fulham are back ahead, and I think it might be Rodrigo Muniz who got the touch. I'm not sure who quite got that touch. Basti's celebrating, everybody's jumping about in celebration. The Brighton players are in the earshot of the referee, and it could have gone straight in from the corner.
It seems, I don't know who scored it. They all seem to be celebrating at this moment.
Well, it was Pereira corner that came in.
An own goal.
I think it's an own goal. In the end, there's a reason why there's some confusion.
Riley.
And it's an own goal from O'Reilly. So, and Rodrigo Muniz goes off. So that's the latest change. Put Jimenez. So that's the latest change. Harry Wilson is replaced.
And coming on, number 24, Josh King.
And Josh King comes on. So a youngster comes on for a few minutes. And 3 changes made. Adinga, one of the players who's coming off. Minter comes on. So that's one of the changes. João Pedro comes on. Ferguson comes on for João Pedro. So that another change that's been made. Evan Ferguson for João Pedro. Minter, who's come on. And Matt O'Reilly, who just scored that own goal, comes off. And Jorginho, it's actually Ruta, comes on for Brighton. Well, those 3 players were coming on before Fulham went back ahead. So I wasn't sure if they might change their mind there. So it turns out it was O'Reilly who got the touch. So spent 11 years here as a player. bit of a ringer there, maybe. Maybe they said, if you come back in about 10 years' time, Matt, see if you can score an own goal. It did make a right mess of my commentary, though, Paul Parker. Do apologise. I will tell you, though, that with 10 minutes to play, Fulham are leading here by 2-1. Was quite unclear who got the last touch, but it's been given to O'Reilly as an own goal, which is why I was confused, because I wasn't quite sure who was being congratulated for the goal, Paul.
There was too many it looked like they were trying to claim it.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas O'Reilly was very much not trying to claim it. So Brighton now trailing 2-1, and the Fulham fans are saying to the Brighton fans that you're rather quiet now. Are they heading towards just their third defeat of this season, Brighton and Hove Albion? And all three of those have come away from the Amex. Throw in for Brighton, who've now made 4 changes. I think Fulham might have made 5. So
correct.
So they've run out, unless there's a concussion. Jimenez, Traore, King, Pereira. Okay, yes, they've got one more too.
Yeah.
Always fun, all the changes that are being made. Josh King, just to let you know, making his first appearance in the Premier League for Fulham this evening. Did come on in a cup match. Came on as a sub in the League Cup against Birmingham. Still 17 years old. Free kick to the home side. 2-1 they lead at the moment. And they've won themselves a free kick. Pereira, the player who's waiting behind it. 83 minutes on the clock. Pereira clips forward the free kick. It was Diop who was up from the back who got his head to it. Comes out to Bassi, who's up the pitch as well. 2 Brighton players right in front of him. He had no chance to put that cross in, Paul Parker.
No, there was no chance, but he's just took the throw in the end.
7 minutes left of the 90.
I think you're looking for a good 5 minutes at least there.
Yeah. Comes back to Leno. Leno pings it forwards. Clipped infield by Robinson. Little touch from Pereira. Bayiba back to his defence. Changes up front for Brighton, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
Ferguson, we know, has got a goal or 2 in him.
Yes, he's just been lacking football, isn't he?
Yes.
Since the change of manager, he's just lacked games. And there was that little bit come out about him being able to go out and loan in January, which they quickly dismissed, Brighton.
Yeah, he's largely been coming off the bench this season, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Ferguson.
Pedro's just come in and just grabbed it, hasn't he, really?
Well, I suppose if it's not broke, then you don't need to fix it. And things have been going so well for Brighton this season. Lewis Dunk's in the ear of the referee. Did he get booked? Yeah. He's getting a yellow card, the Brighton captain. He's allowed to talk to the referee.
Yeah,
I think.
Like
no, I was going to say.
Sorry, I nicked your line there, didn't I?
Exactly. You knew where I was going, Paul. 2-1 to Fulham. Last game here, that 4-1 loss against Wolves. Marco Silva really disappointed after that, and I think Fulham disappointed not to beat Tottenham in the game after that, even though they ended that match with 10 men at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham still trailing Bournemouth, that game at half-time still, I think, at the moment, and we will be there at full-time here at Craven Cottage. Are Fulham going to collect all 3 points, leading 2-1 at the moment on BBC Radio London Digital and on the BBC Sport websites.
substitution coming on number 27.
Now,
That's Vifer.
another change.
Coming number
Moss
8,
Vifer
Brighton.
is the player who's coming off, and Brian Gruder is the player who's coming on. So I think that's it, isn't it for Brighton?
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah.
Good, because my notes are getting incredibly messy at this stage, so I could do without any other changes. A German under-21 international, Gruder, making his 5th appearance off the bench of the season. Verbrugge had the ball there, by the way, which is leading to the oohs and ahs. Here it's back with Fulham. Traore up the pitch. Ball is with King. King gets the touch to take it back into midfield. Forward again. Now with Robinson. Robinson holds up the ball on the Fulham left-hand side. Comes in field to Iwobi. Iwobi turns! Iwobi scores! And surely now Fulham have got all 3 points here. Iwobi second, Fulham third. They now lead Brighton by 3 goals to 1.
Game over. And I tell you what, he's done really well, Iwobi, because of the first half, after scoring he lost his way. Come out in his second half and he's been instrumental in a lot that Fulham have done going forward. For him to go and score his second goal again with his right foot, with a finish across the front of the goalkeeper. Wonderful, wonderful finish and well played by Fulham.
Oh, Alex Iwobi is being sung. 2 goals this evening for Alex Iwobi. Either side of that own goal.
Yeah, keeper couldn't see it till late. There was 2 Brighton players in front of him and he's gone across the front of them. Didn't see it till too late.
Is it game over now? 88 minutes on the clock. Have Brighton got 2 goals in them?
Is that a leading question, Emma?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you owned up to it, because I think you shouldn't be asking me, but there's only one way I can go. And you know I'm not going to say it. I don't want to say it. Fulham have just come out the second half and just improved from the first half. Brighton had that spell early on, got themselves back into it, and they haven't evolved from there. Haven't done enough, Brighton.
Only managing a draw against Southampton. Now a loss here against Fulham for Brighton. Talking about the number of games in quick succession, and as a Brighton player now, I think those legs are probably feeling a bit heavier, aren't they, Paul?
Oh, that's the way it goes. Football is, anything like in life, when things ain't going right, you get a bit low, and those players are low at the moment. The way they're feeling, they thought at one point they went on a high, got back in it, deservedly so, but they didn't move on, and it's shifted now. 2 goals down, few minutes to go, and they're just looking forward to the fact of they've got a lot more games to go.
Yeah. Both of these sides, obviously, away against Leicester next for Ruud van Nistelrooy's Leicester. I do apologise to give them their full title.
No, you don't want to be doing that, surely.
No, really?
No.
Okay.
Don't want to be doing that. I will say though that Christmas can be one of 2 things in football. Can either be really good or bad, and it's really good when you have a good time and you win games over Christmas.
It can be costly though if it's the other way. Yeah.
How it affects you mentally as well, what it does to you. Can be just in a decent position, you can lose it all in a matter of weeks.
How much longer is there to go here? We're about to see the board held up by the 4th official, so at least 5 minutes of additional time. And are Fulham about to make
I've given up.
Another change? I'm just trying to work out, and they are going to make one more change. Sander Berger comes off to applause from around the ground here at Craven Cottage. And it's going to be Jorge Cuenca who comes on. So Jorge Cuenca, one of the new signings this season for Fulham, but hasn't really played a great deal. I mean, this is only his second appearance off the bench. He's struggled with injuries, and that has been an issue for him. Did start in the League Cup, Jorge Cuenca, a former Barcelona B player. Now gets the last 4 minutes of the game here at Craven Cottage. Alex Iwobi, who put Fulham ahead in the 4th minute. An equaliser from Bayiba in this second 45. Then an own goal put Fulham back ahead before Alex Iwobi's second, with I think about 5 minutes of the 90 left to go. Paul Parker saying that's it. 3 points to Fulham, 3 goals at the moment, 92 minutes on the clock.
Ooh.
Pass goes back to the Brighton goalkeeper. If he could just pass that to Traore, it would be nice. Forward from Verbrugge, comes down to Jimenez. Igor Julia, though, regains possession. Now it's with Ruta. Pereira with the challenge. Yellow card for Pereira. Free kick for Brighton. Late on, though, here at Craven Cottage. Even if they score from here, they're not going to go on to score another one, are they? 93 minutes on the clock. So, I know. Free kick for Brighton. As I say, yellow card for substitute Andreas Pereira. Ferguson, one of the players standing behind it. Just looking to see who else is there. Minter, he actually steps away from it, so he won't be one of the options. I think Gruder might be the other player, and you can see how windy it is out there. I mean, these shirts are quite tight on these players, but they're really blowing around.
I don't think this will be the first time Ferguson's kicked the ball, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. He's one of the 2 players for Brighton waiting behind this free kick. There's a long line for that free kick to get either over or under. It's about 5 white and black shirts, and then a lot of the yellow of the Brighton change strip. And Gruder pretends to take it. Ferguson does, and it's over the crossbar. Watch wide by Leno, and that away end starts to thin out a little bit. It's a long journey home, isn't it, when you've lost away?
Oh, it certainly is. Certainly is, especially this time of night as well. And to be honest though, it's stayed quite thick. There's still quite a lot there, to be fair, given the time left.
It can get packed, can't it, that away end? With supporters. We've probably got just over a minute of the 5 shown by the 4th official. Fulham heading towards a victory here against Brighton, their 4th win at home of the season. That impressive record against Brighton in the Premier League will continue. They have never lost to Brighton and Hove Albion in the Premier League, and that will remain the case at full time here at Craven Cottage. 30 seconds left to play. Up into the floodlights from the Brighton goalkeeper. Bounces around in midfield. Iwobi can't keep it in play. Goes out right in front of the dugouts on the far side for a Brighton throw-in. Travelling team know that this game is lost. Out to Estupinen. Comes in field to Igor Julio. Now with Matoma. Played up the pitch to Ruta. And Castagna with the block. The last act of this game will be a Brighton corner.
Oh no, you don't need that.
Okay, we've got somebody on the pitch who's decided that they don't want to come to Craven Cottage any longer.
He's going to the Brighton end.
He's ran the whole length of the pitch to slide down on his knees in front of the Brighton fans, and well, he's not going to get to come to Craven Cottage for a while after that. I'm going to suggest a bit of early Christmas spirits. When I say spirit, I mean the stuff that comes in bottles.
I mean, to be honest though, that was a great run.
It was a very good run.
And he's going to want to be carried off.
It's a corner for Brighton, and they had to wait for that corner to be taken until, well, that idiot had run the length of the pitch. Time ticking away. We're now into time on top of the 5 minutes shown by the fourth official. Whatever happens now, surely it won't change the outcome of the game here at Craven Cottage. He's being urged to blow his whistle. He does so, and Fulham get the victory. Alex Iwobi goals either side of an own goal after Carlos Bieba had made it 1-1 early in the second half. And so Fulham's hold over Brighton continues in the Premier League. They're only the third team to beat them this season. It has finished here at Craven Cottage. Fulham 3, Brighton 1.